We are back to give you a review. We are the Huge Movie Fanatics, and our review today is going to be about the Rob Zombie Halloweens, the much debated Rob Zombie Halloweens. And I, for one, let's start with Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween Part 1. I, for one, loved the movie. I adored the movie. The movie is exceptional. What works about the original Halloween was it was so subtle, and it was so from the perspective of this sweet, innocent girl. So subtlety was necessary. What Rob Zombie did was he took the same story and switched the perspective to a violent maniac, so subtlety had to be out the window. If that movie had been done subtly, it would not have worked the way he was trying to tell the story. And it's the one case where I think being completely unsubtle and being in your face and grotesque works beautifully, because you are in the eyes of this caged animal who his entire reason for being crazy is that his family brought him up so. And he addressed the problem in hindsight with Halloween 1 and 2 having the Jamie Lee Curtis character be related. He addressed that so damn well and so brilliantly by focusing it on the family first and having her as a character right from the start. The first half hour of that movie is just extraordinarily well done, where you're watching this person who's just, quite honestly, he's crazy. He's just a disturbed young man, and the fact that he's surrounded by people that are encouraging it or feeding to it makes him all the more disturbed. So it's the perfect storm of, I think it's even said in the movie, it's the perfect storm of elements that create somebody who is so wrong. And that's where Rob Zombie was so successful. And he almost made you care for Michael Myers, which is the first time that you as an audience member had that, like any form of emotional connection to this person who basically was forced into, like, he had his own set of crazy, but he was sort of forced into these violent acts that he did from his environment. And I think that was brilliant. And then you have the sheriff, which played a much larger role in the movie, played excellently by Brad Dourif, who is one of my favorite actors. He was an excellent choice in casting. And the replacement of Donald Pleasence by McDowell was terrific. He was really good, really smart choice, and he played it his own way, but he nodded to Donald Pleasence in such a pleasant way. So I think that's where it works, and the movie works best in the insane asylum, following Michael through his descent into madness, with Danny Trejo sort of being like a mentor and telling him to close himself off, which is the exact wrong thing to say to somebody who is so disturbed. If he closes himself off, he becomes that much more psychotic, and that's what ends up killing that man. And so it's the perfect storm of elements that created this character, and you got that. For the first time, the audience was given a reason why, which kind of bugged me always, but after the first movie. So I think that works. The movie begins to fall apart a little bit after we're introduced to the Laurie Strode character, not because any of it's particularly bad, it's just sort of we've seen it before. We're into the familiar element of Michael just killing these people, and we sort of feel like, I know it's a remake, but you sort of feel like you've seen this once. That said, I thought she was quite good as Laurie Strode. I know her name. Her name is...
It's a weird Taylor
Compton, and Danielle Harris is back, this time as Annie, and she's a completely different character. She gives quite a good performance, actually. And I liked her. I liked all the side little characters and the... like Sid Haig and stuff like that, who show up for like their little cameos, as they always do for everything. I liked Michael Myers' mother. For the first time you get the mother influence, the one like pillar of humanity that connects Michael to the real world, and I thought that was excellent. And I'd give the movie a really strong 3.5. It stands shoulder to shoulder and is a good complement to the first Halloween. Even though the two movies are uncomplimentary, they work because they're so uncomplimentary. It's the flip side of characters, looking at two movies with the same story from different perspectives. And that's why you get an overly violent movie and a subtly violent movie.
Okay. You do raise a good point in your little closing thing about taking a completely opposite view of the same material. I, however, think that Halloween, the original 1978 strength was in not knowing, seeing that point of view go in the house and commit this crime, come out and be unmasked, and seeing this young child and being like, what the hell, and never know, and only hearing him talked about by the fantastic actor Donald Pleasance. We only hear him talked about, and how, and the fact that we don't actually see this kid over the years in the hospital, we hear it from someone else, and this guy with this great performance really makes this character just so interesting, because it's like you know stuff about him, but you don't know stuff about him. The fact that you're not seeing him, it's just creepy, you know. And I thought that it completely didn't work to tell. You're absolutely right, where it's the flip side, the way to tell it. But my only problem with the remake of Halloween is I don't think it worked for shit. I love this because we can finally clash of the critics. We can finally come head to head. I'm not going to touch. I'm not going to hit you.
No.
Not yet. Not on camera. But you know, how many people grow up in that environment of the drunk ass, lazy bum stepdad, and you know, grow up and just, you know, get a job and be normal. I mean, so many people go through that.
Yeah, but he was already crazy. I think that was already addressed in the movie, was that there was something wrong with him. It was just the fact that his environment fed into it was what made him go and do it.
Well, how do you think that he was already crazy?
Because he was cutting up animals.
But how long
like
has he
that.
been in this situation, though?
Like, I sort of saw him as Ed Gein. Kind of like, he was Ed Gein, who was just...
Yeah, well, maybe he's been in this situation all of his life, and that's why he's crazy.
I mean, it could be. I don't...
That's how I interpret it.
It's with that line where he was the perfect confluence of events.
Well, yeah, you're the perfect storm. Yeah,
that created him, because he was flat out crazy, and then he was presented with crazy people that were trying to make him even more crazier and call him horrible names.
Yeah.
And whatnot, that he couldn't take anymore, and he killed everybody in his family because they were all just horrible to him. And like, if you notice in the beginning of the movie, he only kills the people that hurt him.
Yeah.
The bully at school, which is one of the best shots in the movie. Like, it's one form where it was in your face, but it was also insanely subtle, because as he's hitting him, the moment of impact, it cuts away up into the person who's being hit, the point of view up looking at the trees. That's the last thing this dude is ever seeing, as he's being wailed upon to death. So he kills the bully. He kills his horrible stepfather. He kills his... He needlessly kills the boyfriend, but of his sister. But then he kills his sister, who was also pretty much of a dick to him. And the one person that he saves is the little girl who he feels
she's not old
something
enough
for.
to be a...
Well, I think
bitch.
he feels something for her, because he doesn't... I don't think he wants her to turn out like him, is what it comes down to, and that's why he's trying to get back together with her at the end of the story.
Yeah.
I think it works that way. And, like, my whole argument is that, like, Halloween was a movie that was always going to be remade. There's no doubt about it. That movie was too successful. It couldn't not be remade.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you rather than have somebody do the exact same thing and just have the killer, like the shadowless killer without a backstory, why don't we get something that's a little different, where we see, well, let's just put into perspective, how does somebody get so wrong? And I think that's why it worked. It gave us the same story, but it told us something different. And so the remake, in many ways, is its own thing. Like, it's its own movie. It could be watched without ever having seen the original.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I was...
Anyway, so.
It's not, you know, none of it, regarding movies or anything, music or anything, I mean, no one's right, you know?
Yeah.
So it's not important, you know, I know it's much more pleasant to agree.
Yeah.
And not, it's less awkward to agree. But your points are completely valid and completely understandable,
Yeah.
but they're not my points. I think the movie, all the stuff with him being in that situation, every other word being an F word, and all this horrible, atrocious. I just think, to me, it was just absolute trash and complete crap. I thought all the stuff with what's his name, I can't remember his name right now, the guy who played the drunken,
I can't remember his
boyfriend
name
or
too.
whatever.
He's a good actor though.
He's from other stuff. It's just like, I know the swear words, I know swear words, and you've already said that swear. It's good. It's kind of like, maybe the rape for you in I Spit on Your Grave, where it was just like,
The swearing was
okay,
way too
you're
much.
swearing, I get it, you're swearing, you
Yeah.
can swear, I understand that. And it was, for me, it was swear overload. I mean,
Yeah,
it's probably
definitely
Rob
was.
Zombie's household, normal common stuff, but for me, it's like, I don't need to, okay, Christ, the first 5 minutes or whatever, just in the household and the baby screaming and stuff, I'm like, okay, I stayed through the whole thing, but yeah, for me, Halloween, the remake, is the one thing. I'll tell you what, I'll give it some good things. I think that Rob Zombie had a pretty good sense of, now this is more like the first movie, back in the old days, movies had, I think, more real world production design, where they probably didn't even mess with stuff much. That's why, like, especially
Yeah.
Halloween had no budget. But one thing I will say, as for Halloween, Rob Zombie's first Halloween, is that he has definitely a strong sense of what I'd call, current cinematic production design and look. Now, this is not realistic stuff. This is current, and it's basically a trend which is in movies now, which is how things look in movies versus how things kind of really look, and they do it a lot in the Platinum Dunes movies, where it's like, this is a movie look, this is a movie whatever, and I thought that his eye for production design and character design and stuff was actually was confident and very interesting, and it's funny how every single male in the movie, at least at one point, maybe not Brad, maybe not the sheriff, but had long hair,
Yeah.
It's just like Rob Zombie, he's a guy, he's got long hair.
Yeah.
There's no other way to do it, which is understandable coming from that, it's like I say, it's understandable. But the one thing, I don't want to sit here and just rip on it, because that's all I have to say about the remake in a whole, but I did want to add some things that I do like, and I do watch it this time of year, because like you said, it is an alternate form of Halloween. It's 1 star for me. I don't like it. I don't respect it. But it is an alternate form and something new. Did you shake your head?
I know.
And I actually thought when I heard that, what's his name? Malcolm McDowell was going to be Loomis, I was excited. And then when I saw the performance, I was like, oh.
I really liked it.
I thought, and by giving him, by taking such a different twist on Halloween, like as you mentioned, and then having him say some of the exact lines, I thought was kind of stupid. If you're gonna go completely opposite, then why are you copying
There's
some
certain
of these
lines that have to be addressed.
iconic lines? Yeah, I understand
you
that.
can't not mention the madness, the eyes, the devil's eyes.
The devil's eyes.
You
Yeah.
can't not mention, was it the boogeyman? As a matter of fact, I think it was.
Yeah, but I think you're right. But just the way it was. I rolled my, like I say, it's not important that we agree. You seem very uncomfortable over there.
No.
And
There's one thing I
no
do
way a
wanna-
slur on your personality
know.
or your manner.
No, I understand that. There's one thing I did want to address. You mentioned the look of the movie. I think the look of the movie is quite good. But the look of the mask was the best look of that mask since the very first movie. In each of the subsequent movies, they changed the mask a little bit.
Are you talking about which version? The pre-rotted and cut, or the
Either or.
just the
Yeah,
mask?
just
in
the
general?
mask in general. The look of Michael
Yeah,
Myers'
well,
mask
I
was
think I gotta agree
brilliant.
that the mask looked good. I
It
wasn't too
took
sure
you
about
right back to that first movie when the dude was at first wearing and brought
Well, I gotta
it in the
admit,
house.
that shot where he's like, close your eyes,
Yeah.
that bit, I got something for you, and there's like a profile shot
Yeah.
of the mask coming down. I mean, there are elements in the movie that I like, but it has nothing to do with the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
I hate the movie as a whole, but you're right, the mask is cool, and that shot, and like I say, that I don't know why, that profile of it
Yeah.
coming down on the guy's head was just like, whoa, there it is, mama.